on a more serious note, how lucky we are to have people like Brother Jonathan who can lift their voice up. I often try to do that, but my voice kind of sounds like a pair of bagpipes arm wrestling an accordion, so I just do my best at home. My name is Jordan Breland. I'm going to be giving you a message. First off, thank you so much for coming. It means the world that I can come up here and I can give this message. And I want to give you a little insight first on me, just a little backstory. I know a bunch of people, but some of them I don't know. I've actually graduated from Clemson last December. And they let me pass, and I'm currently getting my master's there. I'm a teaching assistant. So really a big part of my job is standing up in front of people a little bit younger and sometimes older than me and giving them words and teaching them. And I gotta say, I think the first time I ever remember public speaking, I was right up here, and I was 13, 14. God, I was so nervous, but I so loved it. I loved that adrenaline and that feeling of failure and that feeling of walking the line, especially for the Lord. And I'm a little remiss to say that as I got older and as I spoke in front of more and more people, I kind of lost that. But I can tell you right now that whenever I stand up here in front of you, I still feel that. Something I see so much that troubles me is the way a message can be construed in a different light than what it was really meant. And it's a big reason of why I quit going to the youth ministries in Clemson. I didn't agree with them, not on a basic level. It's just as we pushed further into it, they did things that I didn't necessarily agree with. And I feel that it's a real travesty that we've lost it, because it's common knowledge that our earthly works, our godly works, don't give us salvation. And everyone can sit here and we can shake our heads and we can say, yes, we're saved through faith. We're not saved through our works. But that message, instead of saying that your godly works don't save you, really comes off as your earthly works, your godly works don't matter. And we hear the term godly works, and I use that interchangeably, earthly and godly. We think of godly works as the godly scale, right? Walking on water, casting out demons, forgiving sins, which we can't do. But if you could walk on water and cast out demons, you would write that under godly works. Whereas our earthly works, really, we should consider how we conduct ourselves in public and private. What we profess to be true as opposed to what we actually do. And the big one that I really hold dear to my heart is our treatment of people who are devoid of Christ's love. To say earthly works don't matter at all simply isn't true. Our earthly works are of incredible importance. I would say probably number 3, we're given really 2 commandments, right? We're given to love thy God with all thy heart and to love thy brother as thyself. And I think that third one, if it was one, was to be to honor your earthly works, for they are important. So another thing, now that this flies went right in my eye. Oh, no. Another thing, I have just struggled so much with what I wanted to communicate to you today, what I wanted to give to you, what I wanted for you to really take away from this. And what I didn't want to happen was I didn't want anyone to leave here today and go, you know what, and I'm not going to say good or bad, but Jordan gave an okay message. And someone would go, well, what was it about? And they'd go, well, he rambled and he talked about this and he talked about that. And I mean, it was a good message and yeah, it was a good message. And then that person goes, well, I guess you just kind of had to be there. I didn't want that to happen. So something, and I'm going to keep repeating this, and I want to give this to you today that you can leave with this. And the motto is, let's go deeper. Let's go deeper in our faith, specifically. And what I mean by that is we need to strive for a greater understanding of what we believe and why we believe it. So, first question we should have is a simple one, and that's why. Why should we do that? Well, I'm here to tell you that a basic understanding isn't enough. As the internet has told us, we aren't meant to be basic. We're meant to be something a little bit more. We're meant to be something better. And those people who kind of just, I see a lot, they put their arms up and they go, I know I'm saved. That's it. It's all that matters. And congratulations, that is a big part of it, but you're missing something. I think that when people say that line, it's kind of like the secret of Christ. I know that you're saved, and I know that you think that's all that matters, but you are just called to do something so much more, something greater. So, now that we've established one of the whys, let's back up that why. Let's back up that reasoning. Okay? We need to go deeper. We need to go greater. We need to have a better understanding of the Spirit, a deepening of our faith. And the reason we need a deepening of that faith is so our actions can reflect that. Our actions need to reflect what we believe. And let's ask it again. Why? Why is that so important? Well, it's our Christian duty to be shining examples of Christ. We are meant to be shining examples, beautiful pillars of Christ's love for the world. And that last part is important. For the world. In Matthew 5:14-16, we're told, "You are the light of the world. A town built upon a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." And the next one, Matthew 9:35-38, which is probably my second favorite scripture. "As Jesus went through all the towns and villages, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom and healing every disease and sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, 'The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field.'" And what he means is to go get those people who are helpless, those people who are devoid of Christ. It's our responsibility as a light unto someone's path to show them the way. And let's make a clear distinction about what I'm trying to get at. We in no way can offer salvation. That is not our job. We can't do that anyway, even if it was our job. The important thing is we have to point them in the right way. A lot of times, which I see in Clemson because I can just drag that out to whatever situation I need to, but people have a tough time believing. And something I want to give to my youth is that doesn't always mean someone's hopeless or someone's lost forever. And it's okay to have a tough time believing, because some people are from rough places. Some people didn't grow up in rough in South Carolina. Some people don't have a loving church family. We need to understand that a lack of belief isn't something that we should notch against people. If anything, we should show them our belief, our faith, and we should show them the path. Now, we've established our whys, and the whys are a big part of it. You know, why do you need to save money? Why do we need to cut back on gas? Why do we need to save the planet? Things like that. The next step, which is much harder, how? How are we going to do that? How are we really going to push forward, and how are we going to go about this problem? And I'm going to give you three things. Okay? The first one is we will draw closer in our faith through the Spirit and become proper vessels of the Holy Spirit. The next one is we will love all unconditionally. And the third one, which is very important to me, is we will abandon the notion that the Bible is solely meant to be interpreted literally. We are going to go deeper. So the first thing I want to talk about is being a proper vessel. And why we should use small steps instead of large chunks. And in no way am I telling you to, hey, I hear this a lot. Hear it a lot. Christ in moderation. Just a little bit. Not too much Christ here in our openings. Not too much Christ outside. Make sure you keep your faith kind of in this bubble. Not in school. Not in places that make it uncomfortable. But I'm not telling you to do that. If anything, what I want you to do is to just take those little pieces that you know you can change. Take those little pieces of yourself that will get you closer to the Spirit. We don't want to bite off more than we can chew. Because it's easy to say, you know what? I'm going to be like Christ. Tomorrow, I'm going to sell all my things, make my own clothes, and I'm going to go walk out on that hot, bumpy pavement and spread His word. And, you know what? Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe the next day. The next day will be pretty good. We bit off more than we can chew. We can't be like that. It's all the little things that add up. And think about that through your day. Sometimes it's those bigger things that hit you and that get you, but it's all those little things that eat at you. And it's in those little steps that we'll take care of it. We'll push forward. My coach told me, 5th grade, I can still remember it was a sweltering hot day like it is outside, and we were stretching. And he said, it's all the little things that matter, boys. And think of it this way. As you're climbing a mountain, Are you looking to trip over the mountain? No. You're looking down at the stones. Because you can trip over a stone. You can't trip over that mountain. So take care of all the little things, and those big things will take care of themselves. And as plain as I'm looking at you, I'm still that little fifth grader on that hot field listening to him say that. And I can't tell you how many times that's helped me through some of my personal troubles. So as we become proper vessels, as we become better vessels, we will be used more. And accept right now that you may one day be used by the Holy Spirit. And it's going to feel right. It's going to feel correct. The one redeeming characteristic that if I had to share about what Christ has done for me, it's my ability to give. And I think that's it. I don't have anything else. I can't talk to somebody about, say, hey, let me tell you how to cope with your anger problem. Because I get angry a lot. But in that capacity to give, when I was younger, I remember my father and I having some friction between us, and he and my mother aren't here tonight. They're actually raising another godly young man. He's got a scrimmage in Columbia, so pray for him there. But my father and I had friction between us, and I can remember being 18 and looking in the mirror and going, I'm not going to be like my dad. I'm going to be something different. I'm going to be something better. And as time wore on, and that friction that I thought was there really wasn't what I thought it was, and my anger and my resentment toward him faded, and I realized that I was the one pretty much in the wrong. We were sitting outside looking over the field in front of our house, and I told my dad, I said, thank you for everything you do for us. Thank you for everything. You do so much for us, so much for me, Dad. Thank you. And he said, thank you, buddy. I'd do it even if you didn't think. What he didn't know, and we kind of just smiled and walked inside, is that I had been reading up and studying, and the golden rule is probably my favorite rule: do unto others as you would do unto yourself. And I had told myself, think about that time, I was probably just about to get into grad school, it wasn't that long ago, that when I was in that position to help people below me, I would help them. I would be different. I can remember being 18 and fumbling through classes. You know what I mean? I mean, really just stumbling through classes going, I don't know what I'm going to take. I don't know what I should do. And not feeling that guidance. Not needing someone just literally to help me out. And I made that promise, and I said, you know, if I could do this over and I could do it again, I'd do it differently. I'd go back and help someone. And what's funny is that as I'm in my office, sometimes some of my students will come in and they'll go, hey, I'm taking this class, what do you think? And I get to go, no, don't do that. That is awful. Drop that class. You need to do this. You need to do that. And I get to be that giving, that helping back, that giving back to those kids. It's something that I didn't have when I was at Clemson. So, told you all that to tell you this. As we become proper vessels, and as God moves through us and works through us, we will be used by the Spirit. And one of the best examples I have happened maybe a week or two ago, and I was spraying on our farm. And I looked up at the sky and just saw these black, nasty clouds rolling in. So as these black, nasty clouds are rolling in, I go, probably time to stop spraying. So I cut it off. And I knew that my cousin Cameron was down the road. And I said, well, it's raining. He's in the direction of the rain. I'll go see what my cousin's up to. You know, hop in, roll back to the store, get a milkshake, hang out. Normal stuff that kids like to do. Well, as I pull up, the universal sign of something wrong is his toolbox is open and his doors. And I go, oh no. We drive these green John Deere 6500 sprayers, and up underneath them they have a sheet metal casing that protects the pump. And the universal sign for this machine is down is when that flap is down. And if I can just give you this look, because I've had it before, okay? This look, when he looked back up at me from that machine, it's a look we've all had, and that look was communicating it, and it said, there's two things that can happen. One is we can get this machine going and it can drive off into the sunset, or it could spontaneously combust, burn to the ground. I'm just content with either one. So I hopped out. We put our 8 years of college between us together, and we fixed it. And right as we had fixed it, we were about to put our tools up and stuff like that. The biggest, fattest drop of rain I've ever seen hit my tailgate. And the rain was starting to come down. We threw our tools in it and we hauled out of there. About 3 days later, Cam told me, he said, yeah, you know, Jordan, I dropped that thing down and was working on it. And I remember looking up and seeing those clouds rolling in. And I just said, God, help me fix this before that rain starts. And he says, as I did that and looked up, you pulled up. Understand that you will be used by the Spirit. It will feel right. It's going to take those little things. So moving right along into something that I cherish, and I think we should all cherish more, is we must love all unconditionally. And we don't have the love part. The love part is something we can put away because we feel that. We love each other. I mean, I can feel it in this atmosphere between us when we're in here, when we're out there, when we're just talking about our problems. But the unconditionally part is the part where we just mess up on, we fall short of. The unconditional part has to come to everyone in every situation, okay? And that unconditional love has to overcome a lot of things. It has to swallow pride. You know, in some situations, for that person you love, maybe we have to accept that we're not going to come out on top of this argument. Maybe it'd be easier when we're dealing with our spouse or people we love to say, okay, I'll take that hit. You're right. Just for the sake of them. Just for the sake of our relationship. At times, it's just difficult, isn't it? It's difficult to drive down the street and look at someone that you know has made awful decisions in life. Outside, if you know where they're outside, you're going, I'm supposed to love that person unconditionally. It's a weird sort of feeling. It is for me. Another thing is showing love to people who denied us love first. Something I really want to, I just really delve into is the story of the centurion. It says that Christ was walking through, and a centurion came to him. He was a soldier of Rome. And he said, Father, my servant, he's sick. Please heal him. And Christ said, do you want me to come to your house? And the centurion said, no, I'm a man of power. I understand you say do and it gets done. As long as you say it, so it shall be. Christ says, here it is. That's it. Just as you said, your servant will be healed. Your servant will be healed. And then they go away. The servant was healed. That's the story we normally get. That flat-footed kind of story. But something I want to give to you is to go deeper a little bit. And let's go deeper and let's think about what that centurion was. The centurion, the soldier, over Rome, he was the living symbol of Roman authority in Israel. He was the conquering army. He commanded men who had literally conquered most of the known world. A man of stature, of education, a fierce fighter. And this man, probably one day, was out at the barracks conducting his duties, and someone ran to him and said, Sir, your servant is sick. We don't know what to do. So he runs back. He runs back, and there he sees his servant. And he sits there, and he might have thought back to a time where he felt helpless. A time that motivated him to become what he was today, the centurion of Rome. He could have thought of a time to when it pushed him to be more than he was. That helpless feeling. Might have promised himself, I'm never going to feel like that again. I'll be a person of power. People will respect me. I don't want to feel worthless anymore. And so he battled and he fought. He was educated. He rose in the ranks, joining the military, and he became a centurion. And there, next to his servant who lay dying, while he has his helmet on and his armor and his robes beneath him, he feels helpless. Everything that he had pushed feels helpless. The servant who he loves, for all it's just a servant. We can get another. There are no shortage of people on the street who could help me out. And he's just looking down and he's seeing this, and he hears out the window. He says, "Hey, did you hear that guy who hears that leper?" Yeah. And he listens more. And finally, after he hears a bunch of the stories, he sticks his head out the window. And he says, "Hey," and he's the centurion, so people answer him. He goes, what are you talking about? They go, well, we have this guy. He says he's the Messiah. He's coming around and he's healing people. He goes, is that true? And out of the corner of his eye, every day where he was coming to his barracks to train, he saw a person who was paralyzed, maybe laying on the side of the street, and that man was walking. That man said, hey, it's true. So this centurion, in all of his might and all of his armor, runs to Christ. And when Christ was going places, we think of the 12, often there was a large crowd of people around him. So the centurion comes to Christ, the symbol of Roman authority, who the Jews hated. They were a conquering army. There was hostility between them. And here he was standing in front of this crowd. And he says, God, please, heal my servant. And he drops to one knee. And in that moment, in that love, it's not about his stature, his symbol. It's not about how hard he fought. It's about his servant who he loves dearly and who he'd do anything for. I absolutely love that story. In Matthew, we see pretty much that one. It's where he comes and he comes to Christ and he says, hey, excuse me, help me out here. And Christ says, all right, cool, yeah. And the other one in Mark, we see that he actually sent elders. The elders came to Christ and the elders said, hey, Christ, we need you to come. We need you to help. And Christ says, okay, I'll come. And then he's stopped by another group that was also sent by the centurion. And the centurion says, don't worry about it. We know that if you just say he'll be okay, he'll be okay. There are little discrepancies like that in the Bible that I find are important in some cases. In this case, I don't find it that important. I will talk about one that's coming up next that I think is very important and gives us a pretty foreboding message. So, after all, that centurion example is just me going deeper. Right? After that could just be conjecture, like it is. But the Bible is really what it means to you. And that's what it means to me. Our third one and final one. Abandoning the notion that the Bible is meant to be taken literally at all times. Let's go deeper. We can just learn a lot by how Christ taught. Not just his lessons. His lessons are incredibly important. But look how he taught. Look how he gave his messages. Rarely was there a time when he said, hey, this is how it is. Roll with it. No, they were taught in parables. They were taught in different ways, different instances that he wanted his dearly beloved to take in, to let it consume them, to be consumed by the Spirit so they could have that aha moment. And we all know, if there's any teachers out there, you can't just give a student the answer, because giving them the answer doesn't teach them anything. And it's the same way with your spirit. Christ didn't want to just give you the answer. Christ wanted to give you the message so you could figure that answer out, so you could apply it in different areas of your life. It just doesn't mean anything if you're told it. So, we can go deeper. Oh, goodness. We can go so much deeper. We know that it's true learning, true spiritual growth, right? When we have that aha moment through the faith. Some examples that I have of this, and I'm going to read right from this book, are the story of when Jesus warns against wrong teaching. There's one in Matthew and one in Mark, and I'll read both of them. When they went across the lake, the disciples forgot to take bread. Be careful, Jesus said to them. Be on your guard against the yeast of the Pharisees. They discussed this among themselves and said, it's because we didn't bring any bread. Aware of their discussion, Jesus asked, you of little faith, why are you talking among yourselves about having no bread? Do you still not understand? Don't you remember the 5 loaves for the 5,000? And how many basketfuls you gathered? Or the 7 loaves for the 4,000? And how many basketfuls you gathered still? How is it you don't understand that I was not talking to you about bread? But be on your guard against the yeast of the Pharisees. Then they understood that he was not telling them about regular bread, but against the teaching of the Pharisees. In Mark, that same story is a little different. The disciples had forgotten to bring bread except for 1 loaf they had with them in the boat. Be careful, Jesus warned. Watch out for the yeast of the Pharisees and that of Herod. They discussed this with one another and said, it's because we don't have any bread. aware of their discussion, Jesus asked them, "Why are you talking about having no bread? Do you still not see or understand? Are your hearts hardened? Do you have eyes but fail to see, and ears but fail to hear? And don't you remember when I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000? How many basketfuls of pieces did you pick up?" 12, they replied. "And when I broke the 7 loaves for the 4,000, how many basketfuls of pieces did you pick up?" They answered, 7. He said to them, "Do you still not understand?" In these two stories, the ending is a little bit different. And I can only imagine that. Something I want to let you know is that a literal interpretation oftentimes is correct. There are things that we don't need to argue, our 2 commandments. Love thy God with all thy heart, love thy brother as thyself. There's no wiggle there. That is a commandment that's given to you straight. But then there's more that we have to take out. We've got to go deeper than that. And we can see in these wrong teachings, Christ is trying to give them something more. And if anything, he's upset. He's upset that they're not going deeper. And he says, "Beware the yeast of the Pharisees." And they talk amongst themselves and they go, "Yeah, he's upset at us because we don't have any bread." To which I bet Christ replied, "Really? Honestly? Really? After everything? After the raising the people of the dead and casting out demons and feeding so many people? After the baptism? Knowing I'm the Messiah, and you think this is about bread? Really? You really think that?" In Matthew it says they understood he wasn't talking about bread. In Mark, it doesn't. In Mark, he just leaves them hanging. Do you still not understand? Don't you get that there's something more? There's something so much more to everything I'm trying to tell you. I can see these questions when he's asking, how many pieces did you pick up? And he said, "Well, we picked up 12. What he really wants is someone to go, "I get it. It wasn't about the bread. It was about you. You are the bread of life. You are what we need." But in reality, they didn't. And I'm pretty sure he probably ended that with, "Do you still not understand? Guys, you've got to go deeper." And we should. We should go deeper. The reason we should push forward so hard and so much into this deepening of our faith to become the light so we can show others. We may be in a situation one day and we may be able to show somebody God's love. And they may have hard-hitting questions that aren't just, "Hey, does Jesus love me?" Okay? These are going to be tough, difficult questions, and we need to show them the light, show them the path. We may be somewhere, and we may have somebody tell us, as we try to talk about our faith, and they say, "Look, man, I want to believe like you do. I really do. But I have a tough time thinking that God loves me. It's tough for me. I grew up not knowing my parents. I was in foster care, bounced around, and I was abused. I found out I had a sister later on in life who died when she was 16. A sister I'll never know. And you tell me God loves me, and he protects me, and he wants the best for me. What do you say to that?" And you can either answer, and be strong in your faith. A deep faith could answer those questions, could push something to comfort that soul, or you can stand. You can say, well, I guess you just need to read the Bible. And you can miss it. When in reality, you need to say, "Don't worry about that." Don't worry about that, because that wasn't God. God doesn't rubber stamp your suffering. It's not like he just allowed that. It didn't come before him and he didn't hit it and say, "Yep, that suffering's for this person." No, if anything, I would argue to say that people who say God allows suffering are actually kind of wrong. Because God doesn't allow suffering in the way we think it. When you talk to somebody and when you say, "Hey, why did you do that? Why did you let that happen? Why did you allow it?" What you're really doing is you're shifting blame.